The independent candidate out of Iowa even filed his paperwork in 2015 with the Federal Election Commission so that his name could appear on ballots. And that name was Deez Nuts! Hello everybody, welcome back to raspy... Oh, hello. A little bit of a raspy throat there. I'm just back from a week's holiday. This is not the first video, but one of the first I've recorded since getting back, and I guess my voice is just getting back into things. Welcome to the show. My name is Simon Wimsey. One of my writers, in this case Kevin, has written me a script, America's Craziest Political Candidates, and I'm going to react to it. Let's jump... Oh, also Sam edits these videos after they're done. Thank you, Sam, you legend. I don't give you enough credit sometimes. Love you. Let's get into it.
Thank you, kind sir.
Thanks to the boundless optimism of the American populace, we all grow up believing Kevin is American. I don't grow up believing any of this. Yes, I'm incredibly cynical. We all grow up believing that we truly can be anything that we want to be. It's a lie told to all Americans throughout their entire childhood. Parents and teachers alike tell everyone that they could be anything, even President of the United States.
I would like to be a terrorist.
This is like so American. In Europe, I'll speak for the UK. In the UK, it's like, just grow up to be something realistic. Oh, chap. Like, there's no, like, you can be whatever you want to be. It's just like, yeah, no, you're probably going to be like this or that. It's like, we're a much more like pessimistic culture. Maybe, I wouldn't say pessimistic, which is not as like optimistic as Americans. I've always felt that I'm a little bit more American in that way. Like, I'm generally quite optimistic. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I'll have a crack at that. Yeah, why not? And I mean, it's going well. It's going well. Of course, these same adults fully understand that there's an entire system in place to keep people like us out of office, but they perpetrate the myth anyway. But just like adults all told us to believe in Santa Claus, they understand that eventually we'll learn the truth and come to our senses. Yet, not everybody does. The belief that anyone can become a governor, senator, or even president has resulted in lots of really bizarre political campaigns. I'm just watching that Arnold documentary. Arnold Schwarzenegger's life story is one of my favorite stories, and it's amazing.
Bing, 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 bing.
And he's like, yeah, no, he's just born in some tiny town in Austria. And then he was the governor of California. And he can't become president because he's not, he wasn't born in America or some strange law like that. But I think he should be president. That'd be cool. Some of these were satirical campaigns just for fun, but I don't really know much about his politics, to be honest. Some of these were satirical campaigns just for fun, but others took their campaigns extremely seriously. Unfortunately, nobody else did. Vermin Supreme. Vermin Love Supreme had found his way onto the ballot for the Democratic primary in New Hampshire, leading up to the 2012 presidential election. He was invited to take part in lesser-known Democratic candidates' presidential forum in December of 2000. What's the point of all of this? I was recently watching that Succession TV show, which just finished, and it's like the older sibling, Connor. He's like running for president and whatnot. He's spending like millions, hundreds of millions of his dad's money on this president, I guess because it's his dad's money, but still, he's spending hundreds of millions on a presidential run, which is never going to get him anywhere. Is that what's the point? You're going to lose. If you're going to the lesser-known candidates party, or forum, or whatever it is, you're not going to win, are you? So why even try? Is that just my Britishness speaking? People in America are like, oh, there's an outside chance. Because in that Succession TV show, the whole time he's like, I got 1% in the polls. And it's like, what, you're going to get that up to 51 magically somehow, Connor? No, you're not. You're going to lose because nobody likes you. Vermin had taken part in another one-on-one debate that October, a debate that he handily won, so he should have been feeling great coming into the December forum. Then again, his opponent in the previous debate was a representative of the presidential campaign of Aleister Crowley, a candidate who was very much deceased, so that first debate was probably a free win. On December the 19th, 2011, Vermin took the stage in his normal attire. He wore a rubber rain boot on his head, which combined with his large white beard made him look a bit like a wizard. It probably didn't help that he sometimes wore a red cape as well. We have candidates like this because anyone can compete in the UK to be like Prime Minister or whatever. And I think there was some dude called like Lord Bucket or whatever, and he wore a Lord Buckethead or whatever, and he wore a bucket on his head. And he'd show up to debates and stuff. It all seems a little bit pointless to me, but I guess it is mildly entertaining. It probably didn't help that he sometimes wore a red cape. Probably doesn't help that I read that already, does it? There was also about a dozen neckties loosely hanging around his neck. Vermin did have the courtesy to wear a sports jacket since this was a formal event, but it was the same mustard yellow jacket that he normally wore. Nobody should have been surprised that Vermin would show up to a dignified political event dressed the way that he was, nor should they have been surprised that he glitter-bombed fellow candidate Randall Terry. After all, it's not like Vermin was some unknown candidate in his first run for office. He had been presidential candidate in every election since 1992, a streak he had yet to break. Despite running a mostly satirical campaign, he had run as both a Republican and a Democrat and taken part in presidential primaries for both parties. Wait, so is this guy actually a little bit... Because I believe in America, don't you need to get... Like, I read some news article the other day about some guy who wants to run for president, and he's giving people $20 gift vouchers if they sign, like, the petition for his name or whatever. No. He's giving people $20 gift vouchers if they donate to his campaign, but it can be as little as $1. And the news article is like, it's yet to be clear whether this is actually legal or not. So you have to get some sort of like amount of money raised. So this guy must be doing it, right? Which is, I guess, because he's the satirical candidate. I'll give him money. It. While Vermin is sometimes referred to as a performance artist, he still took the time to construct an actual political platform on which he could run. He sought to address the issues that all of the traditional candidates were too afraid to tackle. To start, Vermin was going to pass strict laws on teeth brushing. Americans don't brush often enough, and they're letting plaque destroy our country. It's unclear what the penalty for improper oral hygiene would be under this law, but it was something he took seriously enough that he often carried a giant novelty toothbrush with him at rallies. It should be death. It should be, let's put those dentists out of work. It should be death. And that's the most sane part of his platform. If elected, Vermin Supreme would give every man, woman, and child in America a pony. Are there enough ponies? When questioned by a reporter how the government would afford to buy all of these ponies, he replied that the ponies don't cost money, they make money. If everybody had a pony, it would create job opportunities for people who needed to take care of said ponies. Brilliant economic argument there, well done. He was also the only presidential candidate to emphasize zombie apocalypse awareness and was committed to using zombies as a source of renewable energy. Time travel research was another cornerstone of his platform, with Vermin promising voters that he would go back in time and kill baby Hitler. If you do that, everything's going to be real different, Vermin. You're not going to be around anymore, Vermin.
Now, friends, some people will tell you that this mandatory toothbrushing law is about the secret dental police kicking down your door at 3 a.m. to make sure you've brushed. Friends, it is not.
In the 2020 election, things took a bit of a turn. He decided to seek the Libertarian presidential nomination as a legitimate candidate rather than running a mostly satirical campaign. But even when running a serious election, he still had to put a satirical twist on everything. Vermin heavily criticized Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He also promised to make COVID illegal, to travel back in time and kill baby COVID, and to create COVID-free zones because they work so well for things like guns and drugs. Wait. This is his non-satirical run? Traveling through time? This guy's just insane.
It is not even about DNA gene splicing to create a race of winged monkeys to act as tooth fairies.
But Vermin wasn't a single-issue candidate. In addition to his stance on COVID, he vowed to end foreign wars, end the war on drugs, and issue pardons for non-violent drug offenders to ease the strain on America's overcrowded prison system. That'd be brilliant if they could vote. This more serious platform was good enough for Vermin to win both the New Hampshire primary and the Massachusetts primary, though to be fair, he also lives in northern Massachusetts. In the end, he failed to secure the Libertarian nomination, though his running mate became the vice presidential candidate. It's almost primary. Yeah, but you're Libertarian. You're not going to win. There's two political parties in America. Libertarian isn't one of them, right? I mean, I know it's third, but isn't it like no one cares? It's almost primary season again in America, so there's only a few short months until we get to see which direction his campaign will go this time. The rent is too damn high. Vermin Supreme may not have been a single-issue candidate, but in 2010 in New York City, mayoral candidate mayoral is a weird word, Jimmy McMillan was, and that one issue was the rent was too damn high, leading him to found and run as the candidate for the Rent is Too Damn High party. Jimmy was deadly serious in his campaign, but nobody seemed to realise this because of his theatrical nature. He showed up to the mayoral debate wearing a pair of karate shoes, a suit he got off the rack for $99, a homemade necktie, and a bounty paper towel in his pocket because he couldn't afford a pocket handkerchief. Jimmy also had sculpted his facial hair in the most ridiculous and attention-grabbing way possible, with large mutton chops connected to a moustache and a long goatee. It is the... Sam, I imagine you're putting a picture of this on the screen right now, but that's pretty special. When the debate began and Jimmy was given 30 seconds to make his opening statement, he quote spoke quickly and in a booming voice, like a preacher proselytizing from the pulpit. His goal was to make an impression, and he certainly did, but it wasn't the impression he wanted to make. The rent is too damn high, which Jimmy repeated numerous times throughout the debate while shaking his fist in the air, became a huge internet meme. Wait. I thought that this was based on the internet meme. This is actually where the internet meme comes from. In that case, I know what that guy's facial hair looks like, and it is ridiculous. It didn't help that a lot of people weren't taking any of the candidates seriously. You had this guy that looked almost like a cartoon character yelling angrily on stage about rent, and then the camera would pan over to an ex-madam that was trying to legalize sex work in New York. There was no way anybody was taking down the incumbent, and to be fair, everything Jimmy said was accurate. He may even have been ahead of his time given the current rent prices in America and the increasing attention that it's getting, but the problem with being a single-issue candidate is that it's easy for others to co-opt your message. The incumbent mayor agreed that rent was too damn high, and by the end of the debate, nearly everyone on stage referred to something as being too damn high, be it rent, taxes, or whatever. Jimmy tried again, running both in the next mayoral election and the gubernatorial race. Gubernatorial race is a weird word. I don't even know what it means, but goober. National. And the rent is too damn high party even fielded other candidates in other elections. Sadly, none were ever elected. Yeah, single issue. It's the problem. It's like, yeah, we agree. Let's try and do something about that. And we've also got issues on other things that we've thought about being, serious political operators and stuff. Sadly, none were ever elected. Jimmy had a strong message expressed in a relatable way, and he was both an entertaining and intelligent speaker. But that just wasn't enough. Luckily, he was able to turn his failed and heavily memed campaign into something a bit more fun for himself. Someone on YouTube auto-tuned clips of Jimmy speeches to create the song Rent Too Damn High that currently has over 9 million views. God damn! This inspired Jimmy to write his own songs and put them on YouTube, with the former candidate claiming to have written over 500 songs. There were all sorts of songs about rent in various genres, including Rent Too High Christmas. He even filmed a rap music video as the official anthem of his 2013 mayoral campaign. While I can't find evidence of it existing, Jimmy also claimed to have created an app called Date Me Jimmy, where female fans could attempt to date him. He also claimed how shocked he was when all of the women interested were in their 20s and 30s, even though he was nearly 70 at that point. He was shocked, but not unhappy. Then again, female attention probably wasn't something he was accustomed to seeing, as he had previously worked as a male stripper. God damn. This guy's got an eclectic career. Brady Olson. United States has a long history of joke campaigns. A lot of Americans feel disenfranchised by living in a two-party system, and they use their vote for president as a way to lash out. Mickey Mouse has probably received millions of votes for president over the past 70 years, though there's no way to know the exact number. Many areas simply throw out what are considered protest votes, and in some countries, writing candidates aren't eligible to win anyway. Yeah, you can't just write someone's name in and then expect them to be elected. And also, you can't expect the counters to be like, oh, okay, there's a new name here that we haven't seen before, let's write it down into the system. No, it's just like you didn't tick one of the boxes, it gets thrown away. I assume that's what a write-in candidate is, where you write in the box, like someone you want to be president or whatever. It doesn't work like that. That's insane. They have to want it. Though that does beg the question of why they still offer the opportunity to have a write-in name instead of just checking one of the boxes. They do. That's stupid. It's rare especially if it's just being discounted anyway. If you want a protest vote, just go in there, put a cross in both boxes, or just, do a big line, or leave it blank. And then just leave. Some countries like Australia makes you vote. I had an Australian mate here, and I was like, what are you doing today? And he's going down the embassy, mate. And I'm like, oh, why are you going down the embassy? It's got to vote, mate. And I'm like, wow, you really care about politics? Like, nah, if I don't vote, mate, they're going to fine me, mate. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so then if that was me, I'd be like, f*** you. I'm not looking into this shit. I'll just be like, scribble all over it. I voted. Boom. It's rare for a writing candidate to actually have any sort of campaign behind them, but in the 2016 presidential election, one candidate did. The independent candidate out of Iowa even filed his paperwork in 2015 with the Federal Election Commission so that his name could appear on ballots. And that name was Deez Nuts!
Ha! Got him!
Initial polls out of Iowa, Minnesota, and North Carolina showed Deez Nuts polling at about 10% versus Clinton and Trump, and forcing actual news outlets like CBS to run headlines like Deez Nuts gaining momentum in presidential race. Yes! This may come as a surprise to you, but despite what the FEC filing claimed, Deez Nuts was not actually the candidate's legal name. I assumed you'd have to change your name to Deez Nuts before you can go and register to be voted on. register as a candidate. Use your big brain, Simon. That's the word you were looking for. The person behind the filing was Brady Olson, a 15-year-old resident of Iowa who was very much not eligible to run for president. I don't think Deez Nuts actually had a political platform, but Olson did manage to bring about change to America's election system. Thanks to the attention his candidacy received, the FEC announced it would punish any future satirical candidates for filing false information with a federal agency. I'm assuming this dude's he's in prison now. He's been in prison. He's going to be in prison for 25 years. I'm assuming that had always been a crime and it was just never enforced with presidential elections because it was deemed harmless, but no joke filing has ever captured the public's interest before in the way that Deez Nuts had. While Deez Nuts received the most attention, 2016 saw plenty of joke filings for candidates such as Harambe, Beast Mode. Who you voted for in the election? Beast Mode. And Limberbutt McCubbins, a 5-year-old cat who ran using the slogan, "Meow is the time." The problem is they'll be like, "Oh, you're filing false information." It's like, no, my cat genuinely wanted to run. He whispered it to me. It's going to be hard to prove that it's not no. Deez Nuts is my campaign. I'm very serious about it, and now I intend to run again. How are you going to prove that it's fake? Or not honest? The Impaler. Americans have this weird love of electing entertainers to be in public office, be it Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Bono, or Al Franken. Voters just don't seem to understand that there's a difference between somebody being good on the mic and actually being good at running the government. Don't know about that, Kevin. I'll be brilliant at running the government. Just give me a week. I'll fix it all out. Middle East? Can sort it, mate. The housing crisis? Sorted. Invasion of Ukraine? I could sort that out in a weekend. Done. Easy. Let me be president.
Many months later.
To be fair, some of the entertainers that have been elected were actually quite capable leaders, but there's a lot more to politics than being a good public speaker. With the success of so many others, former boxer and professional wrestler Jonathan the Impaler Sharkey decided to throw his hat into the ring and run for president. He ran as an independent in 2004 and 2008, and again as a Republican in 2012. There was also some run for Congress in various states and a campaign for governor of Minnesota as well. Wow, this guy's just I want all the jobs. But he started going for president, and then he was so let's have a crack at governor. That's an easier one, which I assume he still didn't win. Now, what are some of the things that come to mind as appealing to American voters? What makes somebody the ideal candidate? Liberals and conservatives will likely answer that question differently, but I can tell you what absolutely nobody would have described as their ideal candidate: a self-described Luciferian and vampire who claimed to be descended from Vlad the Impaler. So he's saying, a devil word. No one in America is like that. They're all extremely religious. Sharkey was an interesting candidate to say the least. Not only did he claim to be a vampire who fed on his girlfriends and mistresses twice weekly, stating that it was a very healthy thing to do, but he had some pretty extreme views. He referred to George W. Bush as a wuss and a communist who should be tried and convicted of the deaths of all the innocent Americans that he sent to the Middle East. He then described Obama as being even worse than Bush, something he hadn't thought was actually possible. Sharkey promised to revoke Obamacare and replace it with a system of free healthcare for all citizens, funded by tax revenue generated by legalizing marijuana and sex work. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with all... Fuck yeah! A lot of this, I'm like, wait, is this so crazy? But nothing stands out more than Sharkey's stance on crime. He stated, certain criminals, instead of being put in jail, they should be brutally tortured and impaled. Holy shit. I mean, I'm down. Upon them being found guilty of their crimes, I'll beat them, torture them, dismember them, and decapitate them. Yes, he wanted to personally torture and impale criminals on the White House lawn, just like his ancestor Vlad. He went so far as to say that Bush deserved this treatment as well. Despite his numerous attempts and an appearance on Tucker Carlson's show, none of Sharkey's various campaigns were really able to gain any traction. It may have been all the legal trouble he kept himself into. Not only was Sharkey investigated by the Secret Service for threatening to impale Bush. Secret Service can't take a joke, can it? There were multiple accusations surrounding him and 16-year-old girls that resulted in multiple restraining orders. Uh-oh, Sharkey, don't be doing that. That's not a good look. Or legal, or moral, or, something that's going to get you elected. Sharkey also wound up in prison in Tennessee for threatening a judge. Holy shit, Sharkey. Investigators confiscated multiple weapons from his home following the arrest, including 2 rifles and a wooden stake, which is a really weird weapon for an alleged vampire to keep in his home.
Donut!
The votes are out there. Before running for president in 1960 against JFK and Richard Nixon, Gabriel Green graduated from UC Berkeley and made several important contributions to the Standard Model of Physics. Okay, where's this gonna go? This guy's probably smart. At least he said he did. Uh-oh, Berkeley has no record of him ever attending their school. Uh-oh, but that's okay. Politicians lie all the time, especially when they're absolutely insane. In 1957, Gabriel founded the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Clubs of America, Inc., an organization he was inspired to found after his trip to the planet Corindor orbiting Alpha Centauri. This guy is absolutely batty, isn't he? To be clear, Corindor is not a real planet. Gabriel was a ufologist who claimed to have made contact with alien peoples hundreds of times, been aboard their ships, and who even had a telepathic link with his benevolent space brothers. And that was going to be key to his success. Gabriel's policies would be informed by the wisdom of alien races, and he put together an entire platform of social and economic issues on which to run. Or rather, the extraterrestrials put the platform together for him. Gabriel was just the messenger. Of course he was. He began campaigning as a writing candidate across Southern California, even paying to take out a full-page ad for his campaign in the Los Angeles Mirror. To his credit, the ad looked pretty good. A lot of it was nonsense political speak that didn't really mean anything, but there were a lot of genuine promises about his potential presidency as well. He even used it to advertise a speaking engagement where anyone interested could hear him expand on his ideas. Of course, it probably didn't help that his speech was being hosted by the Amalgamated Flying Saucer Clubs of America, or that he was running as the candidate for the Universal Flying Saucer Party. Despite some early and quite honestly unexplainable excitement for Gabriel's presidential run, things died off and he dropped out of the race that he wasn't technically even a part of since he was campaigning as a write-in. But he didn't give up, and in 1962 he'd run for Senator of California. Mate, give up, no one wants your wacky, alien ideas. It's weird. Go start a religion and recruit celebrities or something. This time he chose to take part in the Democratic primary rather than relying on the Universal Flying Saucer Party again. It was a tight race between the three Democratic candidates, with Gabriel pulling in over 171,000 votes. Okay, maybe there are people who want this crazy shit. That's a lot of votes, but it was only enough to come in a close second behind Richard Richards and his 1.7 million votes. It's kind of impressive that he just got 10% of this guy's votes. And he is actually insane. After, allegedly in my opinion, this was the 96, he's probably dead, isn't he? After a long break, during which he wrote his book, Let's Face Facts About Flying Saucers, he ran for president in 1972. This time he received less than 200 votes, and he pretty much fell off the radar entirely after that. By his second presidential run, Gabriel had become less interested in sharing the secrets of advanced technology and alien wisdom, and was more interested in things like reincarnation and psychic powers, which are also totally not real. I was going to say real, but I just wanted to be absolutely clear that I was being sarcastic if I had said that, which I didn't feel would be 100% clear, so I just said not real, so let's just move on. If this was one of the best third-party candidates that America could come up with during the 20th century, then it's no surprise that polls showed Deez Nuts were looking pretty good to Americans in 2016. And thank you for watching. Parents and teachers alike tell everyone that they could be anything, even President of the United States.
I would like to be a terrorist.